Amber. So you've probably heard of amber, or you probably remember seeing something that looks like this, or you think of that little fossil from Jurassic Park with a mosquito in it. That's not the same kind of amber. That's just fossilized amber. It has nothing to do with amber resin or the amber we smell in fragrances today. But I want to talk about amber. I want to talk about its origins and what makes it so important in ancient cultures today, and how it's actually changed to something like this and something that's not so much like this, really. So let me explain. So here we have some amber resin. Now, amber resin has been used since ancient Egypt and ancient Mesopotamia. It was used in a variety of rituals. It was used in funerals, it was used in royal courts, and it was used because it was seen as a source of divinity. They would sometimes even place it on their jewelry or use it to perfume jewelry. But it's not the same type of amber that you normally would find in other objects, because it's not a precious stone, it's a resin. And you're probably thinking, well, how did they create a resin, and what made it so special? So in the ancient times, their shepherds would allow the goats to graze, and in the Eastern Mediterranean, there's the Labdanum shrub. Now, the Labdanum shrub is something the goats would like to eat, and while they were eating it, it would get in their little goat beards. So the shepherds would take a leather strap, and then they would comb out and brush out the labdanum from the goats' beards, and that's how the scent of labdanum was discovered. Or so that's how the tale goes. And then benzoin is actually something derived from the styrax tree. The styrax tree was actually something found in Southeast Asia and the Middle East. And while styrax trees are cut, they release this rich, aromatic sap that when it dries this hard, yellow, well, resin-like structure. And so that was used in a variety of ways. Then people took benzoin and labdanum and mixed them together and said, hey, this smells good. And that was the initial phase of amber. But then in ancient Egypt, it took on a little twist that became the actual royal amber that cemented itself in history. And that was the mix, or the amalgamation, of frankincense, myrrh, benzoin, and labdanum, along with some other choice ingredients that would then form the ancient amber that was so popular and so divine in ancient Egypt culture. Or ambergris. Ambergris is something you find from whales. It's from whale vomit, but I'll get to that in another video. Today we're just talking about amber. But this is not the amber I just spoke about. This is golden amber resin. This is actually something that is a faint ghost of the past. It's a mimic. What I mean is, this is actually made from benzoin, labdanum, some vanilla. Sometimes they do use the actual sap from styrax trees in this, but usually it's just a mix of, chemicals, some naturals. It really depends on where you're buying from and what the manufacturer is using. But that's what this amber resin is. And even then, this isn't what you're smelling in most of your fragrances. Nowadays, what you smell is an amber accord. So what a lot of perfumers do is they take a lot more synthetics versus something natural that might be mixed with beeswax here, and instead we have synthetics. So they take labdanum, benzoin, vanilla, and some other choice ingredients, and then you get the amber accord. It's not really a ingredient itself, it's a amalgamation of ingredients. And sometimes, believe it or not, the amber accord sometimes has ambroxan added to it. So sometimes you may say, hey, this fragrance has amber in it. Well, it really doesn't. Because if you watch a lot of fragrance reviewers, or if you see a lot of perfumers, they'll actually mention benzoin, labdanum as two separate things. Now, that doesn't mean that amber doesn't have a unique profile and unique scent on its own. So the amber resins I've talked about and this are actually not what we smell today in the amber accords in our fragrances. This might have been mixed with something like beeswax as well as the other ingredients I mentioned to get this, thick resin that smells like a little bit of cinnamon, nutmeg, and a whole lot of brown sugar. Honestly, the smell of this is reminiscent to vanilla or gur, or raw brown sugar. Those who have it, some cultures around the world process sugar down to the finest tea. That's what this smells like, and it also looks very similar to that as well. But this does have a base of this richness that is hard to allude to. It's not like any oud or wood. It's sweet, reminiscent of tree sap, I guess, of maple, like a maple syrup. That's what this is reminiscent of, with a dash of cinnamon. But that isn't what you smell in your fragrances today. So if you take something like Maison, for instance, Courtisane's Grand Soir, which encapsulates the true amber accord in modern fragrances, that usually is an amalgamation of synthetics. So you have benzoin, labdanum, vanilla or tonka bean at times, and sometimes even ambroxan. Ambroxan, which is a modern synthetic version of ambergris. So you have an amalgamation of all these synthetics to form what is the amber accord today. And is that a good thing or a bad thing? Who's to say? You might even find it in fragrances like this, Luxe Nightlife by Maison Alhambra, or Lattafa's Assad. So these both have a amber accord in them. Now, the amber accord might add some richness to depth to the character of the fragrance. With this, it adds some contrast to the smoky, sharp, initial opening to this, and helps it balance out. And then you get this lovely, fun Sauvage Elixir-esque fragrance, or a Sauvage Elixir dupe, really, that this is. And then this, it has a lovely amber profile in the base. That amber profile actually enhances the gourmand aspect to this. So when you spray it on, as this fragrance dries, we get the top note of, that coconut and a little bit of vanilla in the base as well. But that amber ties everything in together and gives it that rich, robust smell. But maybe that's not what you might like. So comment down below, do you think that the ancient Egyptian form of forming amber resin to burn was a better scent profile maybe? I mean, we don't really know, or at least I don't know, because the modern formulation I have is actually just a mix of labdanum, benzoin, and some other ingredients. No frankincense and myrrh in here. Frankincense and myrrh have particular smell profiles, and definitely no frankincense in here. And I don't know how I feel about the use of synthetics in modern fragrances. It has its upsides and downsides. I mean, I do find beauty in old ingredients and ingredients we probably shouldn't use nowadays, like ambergris. And that's something I'm also going to bring up and talk about. But you guys tell me what you guys want to see. Would you like to see me talk about things like this? Would you guys like me to talk more about the history of all of these ingredients? Would you guys like me to talk about why certain ingredients are now banned, like the use of oak moss in excess, and why you have brands like Creed Aventus, or fragrances like Creed Aventus, that had to go through massive reformulations. So let me know, guys, what you'd like to see. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Like, comment, subscribe for more tips, education, reviews, and more. See you next time. Spray smart.